I saw my grandma every day from the ages of 2 to 17. We were best friends. When her husband, Chuck, died of unknown causes, she randomly cut ties with the rest of the family and moved. For 10 years, I was wondering what happened to her, and I just got the answers. A few weeks ago, I saw a YouTube video sponsored by the website that I've never heard of. The YouTuber said that with this website, you can find anybody if you put their name in. People have used this to find their family members, high school friends, and missing children. I put my grandma's name in, and it said that she lived in the middle of Nebraska now. It gave me her picture, license plate, and everything. It was incredible to think that I could finally see my grandma again. The whole thing gave me an idea. What if I went on a road trip to find her house? After a few days of thinking, I finally decided that I would do it. I packed my bags and took a pickup truck about a 16-hour journey to Nebraska. As I drove, the area eventually became more and more rural. At one point, the only thing that was around me was grass, cornfields, and trees. A few 100 miles later, I was finally there. She lived in a tiny house surrounded by dozens of miles of corn. The blue paint was chipping off of the house and it looked like it hadn't been kept in decades. I got out to my truck and went to the front door. I had not seen my grandma since her husband's funeral, so I was incredibly nervous. As I reached the doorbell, I could hear her footsteps from the house. The door opened and a pale old woman popped out of it. In a frightened voice, she said, "What are you doing here?" She sounded like she was about to run a marathon. As I stared at her, I began to recognize her as my grandmother. While stuttering violently, I said, "Grandma?" She said in a calm and sweet voice, "Oh, hello, honey. Would you like to come in?" I walked into the house and plopped onto my grandma's ripped-up couch. She looked like a wreck. I asked her why she left our family, and she just brushed off the question and asked if I'd like some tea. We talked for a bit and she seemed frantic. I asked, "Is something wrong?" She replied, "I'm just a little bit worried about something." I commented, "About what?" In a stern and rude voice, she told me, "It doesn't concern you." At this point, I was feeling uncomfortable. I noticed that she had food and water next to her basement door, so I asked, "Do you have a pet now?" She replied, "No, unless you count it." "What's it?" And she replied, "Nothing." Her face grew even paler than before, and she seemed scared. There was something she wasn't telling me. I told her, "Grandma, what are you scared of?" And she said in an incredibly shaky voice, "I'm not afraid of anything." She could barely speak, and she seemed to be crying silently. I repeated my previous question several times, and then I received an answer. "It lives in the basement," is what she said. She spoke. "You have to leave at this point." I decided that my grandma cut ties with the family because of a drug addiction. She couldn't even make sense. I saw that she was staring at something behind me. I turned around and saw a long black arm reach out from the basement door and grab the food that I had seen earlier. I yelled at my grandma, "What's that?" She shushed me and replied, "Be quiet, it'll hear you." Fight or flight kicked in and I rushed into my car as fast as I could. My grandma came outside and yelled, "Wait!" As I was getting in my car, whatever it was must have heard me. I saw the creature burst out of the front door. Its skin was dark as the night sky, and it was at least 9 feet tall. It had these soulless dark eyes that looked like a giant hole in its face. The thing grabbed my grandma and stared me directly in the eyes. I could feel it prying my soul away from me. Without a thought, I rammed it with my truck and drove away as fast as I could. I don't exactly remember what happened after this, but I'm told that I crashed into another car at high speeds. I suffered a serious concussion with some whiplash. I'm in the hospital right now, and the doctor just gave me a note from my grandma. It reads, "See you soon."